What's the ROI of supporting caregivers at work? You're already paying for it. The question is, are you getting anything back? Most workplaces don't even know that they're paying for caregiving. It's just hidden in the cost of turnover, absenteeism, disengagement, and lost leadership potential. Every time a caregiver walks out because they feel unsupported, every time one steps back from a stretch role because they fear judgment, every hour of stress-fueled presenteeism, that's money you are already spending. So the real question is, can we afford to support caregivers? It's what are we getting for what we are already spending? Today, let's talk about the ROI of supporting caregivers and what leaders need to understand to turn that cost into strategy. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Anna Thomas. I'm a physician, leadership speaker, caregiver advocate, and corporate wellness specialist. I help organizations strengthen their workforce and create workplaces where people and performance can thrive together. Even as we enter an era of AI, automation, and agentic teams, the future of work is still human, and that work is changing dramatically. But at the same time, employees are navigating complex personal and professional pressures that are only going to escalate in the coming years. For example, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, we will see an exponential increase in the number of older adults who will need caregiving support. Who will be providing that care? Working adults. Right now, 63 million Americans are caregivers. That's 1 in 4 adults, with more than half of them currently working full-time. Those numbers are expected to increase and will have a tremendous impact on our communities and, yes, even our workplaces. And caregiving is just one example of a personal stressor that will impact the workplace. Mental health, chronic illness, stress, and burnout are all on the rise, and the organizations that will thrive are those that lead with care, culture, awareness, resources, and empowerment. Care. Through this series, I share practical strategies, leadership tools, and insights to help you create cultures that support well-being, strengthen engagement, and retain top talent. If you'd like a clear starting point, then check out my free training, The Future of Work is Care. The link is below. And while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with another leader who is ready to build a workplace that cares. Let's get into today's topic. I've seen how care responsibility can quietly shape careers. I've also seen how employers, without meaning to, absorb the costs of their inaction without realizing there's a better path. And it's not just about feel-good perks, it's about recognizing that supporting caregivers is a lever for performance, retention, and culture, and that return can be modeled, measured, and improved. Here's what organizations often miss. When a caregiver leaves, and 1 out of 3 working caregivers leave their job due to caregiving responsibility and difficulty balancing both. When they leave, it costs you more than just a vacancy. You're paying for the time it takes to rehire, retrain, and recover that lost institutional knowledge. When a caregiving employee is stretched too thin, they might be physically present, but mentally distant. That quiet productivity drop is almost never tracked. When a team loses trust because someone was pushed out or passed over, that cultural ripple affects performance beyond just one person. None of that shows up on a simple expense report, but it is on your books. Supporting caregivers doesn't just help people, it stabilizes the system. When caregiving is supported, retention improves, absenteeism goes down, performance becomes more consistent, high potential employees stay longer, recruitment gets easier because candidates talk and culture travels fast. In one study, companies offering caregiver support programs saw lower turnover and stronger engagement. Other benchmarks show that even modest improvement in retention often pay for the full cost of those programs. But beyond external data, your own organization has its own clues if you know where to look. You just need a few guiding questions. What does it currently cost us to replace a high-performing employee? How many exits or declines in performance are related to caregiving strain? What would even a 10% or a 5% improvement in retention mean in terms of saved costs and continuity? What is the cost of implementing support versus the value of what you keep? And that's where many organizations get stuck, not because the ROI isn't there, but because no one slowed down to measure what matters. Now, that is one area of ROI. Another area for ROI that many organizations are aware of is the benefit with respect to reducing expenses. So healthcare expenditures is one of the largest areas that employers invest in their employees' well-being. But when caregiving employees have access to wellness resources, those expenses can go down as well. Caregivers have nearly double the rate of chronic health-related issues, but when they learn how to take care of their own health, that rate goes down. And guess what? That improves your healthcare-related expenditures as well as improve your productivity. As you can see, supporting caregivers in your workforce has tremendous impact for your organization. Retention, expenses, productivity. If you want to think of this from the bigger picture, then join me in my free training, The Future of Work is Care. It introduces this framework, the CARE framework, and walks through how you can reframe caregiving, not as a cost, but as a competitive advantage. And if you haven't checked out my book, Workplaces That Care, be sure to pick it up on Amazon. It is your playbook for building a resilient workplace that supports and retains caregiving employees. Yes, ROI matters. Here's something else. When people feel safe, they stay. And when they're trusted, they rise. When they're supported, they give more than just their job description. And that kind of workplace isn't just profitable, it's magnetic, it's resilient, and it doesn't happen by accident. Next week, we're going to talk about what tools could actually support our employee caregivers. We'll look at systems, platforms, practical tools. And if you haven't watched it yet, check out How Can We Shift from a Reactive? And if you haven't watched it yet, check out how we can shift from a reactive to a proactive culture of care. It's a perfect companion. Remember, in this age of AI, the future of work is still human. So let's create workplaces that care together.